Sarah getting home with the 900. We ended up moving animals around in the barns today, and I am just getting done with what I set out to do here today. Well, not really, but we're just getting kind of started on this project, and we're probably going to call it a night here in a little while. And there is the frickin' phone. Tell you what, that thing has been getting me into trouble here lately. So this Freightliner here is the one that we bought back on the 19th of December. I got home with it. When I got home, it sat for a few days. The weather was very nice. It was like, I don't know if it was between Christmas and New Year's, or if it wasn't Christmas yet or not. It might have been a day or three before Christmas. But at any rate, Jared wanted to put silage trailers away, so we decided to put silage trailers away with this truck and the C500, just to kind of stretch the legs on these trucks to see how they performed. On my first trip, I think I was videoing. I thought the clutch slipped a little bit. Like, man, did I just feel that or what? So I went into the next hill, slipped again. I'm like, damn, I think it is slipping. So when I got over to Cleverly's farm, where we have the empty buildings to put the trailers into, I called Ryder, because I bought this truck from Ryder, and I asked them how long the warranty was for, because they gave me a 15-day warranty or 1,000 miles, whichever came first. And I didn't know if it was a 10-day warranty or I didn't know what the heck it was. So I told the salesman what was going on, and he said, well, you need to get a hold of Ryder and go through the whole prompts and whatever. So I did that on my way home. And they told me that it was 15 days, 1,000 miles. They asked how many miles they had on it. I gave them the amount of miles that was on the odometer, and I took a picture of it right at that moment as well. And I said, yep, it falls in line with the warranty it meets the warranty criteria. We would ask that you not drive the truck any farther than you have to. And I said, well, I know what's going to happen. They're going to get this truck in, and they're just going to say that the truck is fine, and we're going to be putting a transmission into this truck. Today is March 20th. We haven't been able to use this truck. Not only is it not set up, but we wouldn't be using it till now anyways. So I said, well, there goes the 15-day warranty. We've got to put a wet line on this yet and everything else. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull one more trailer. I'm going to make one more trip with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at the farm that we parked the trailers, and I'll just take this from there to where it's got to go. I didn't know where it had to go at that point yet, but as far as the mileage, it having any more miles on it, it would be relatively close to the mileage that we give them. I hauled another trailer over there. It didn't slip at all. Parked the truck, rode back with Jared. I think we videoed that and did whatever. So Ryder got back to me, and what they did was they told me that they were going to let me know what facility I could take this truck to. It had to be a facility of their choice, and that I would have to drop it off there to have them work on it. I said, okay. So the dealer of choice ended up being Tracy Road Equipment. So I took it to Tracy Road Equipment, dropped it off, told them what was going on with it. They diagnosed it as it needing a clutch. So, well, it's good to have a clutch put in on warranty than having a clutch put in on my dime. They submitted the estimate of the repair bill to Ryder, and they had it estimated at 20 hours labor to take the transmission out, do all the necessary work to get the transmission out, do the clutch, get that back in, reassemble everything, so on and so forth. Ryder said, nope, you guys aren't going to do the work. There's no way that that can take 20 hours. So we're going to have to get somebody else to work on it. Tracy Road Equipment says, okay. So Ryder took it back. I sat on this thing for a little while. They said they were going to do the work at their own shop. And long story short, they sent it out to another shop. I talked to the guys at that shop. They said it was going to take, they said they had 13 hours into doing the work. I told Ryder, I also told Tracy Road Equipment that, actually told Tracy Road Equipment, I said, tell Ryder, because I was in communication with Tracy Road Equipment as well, because what I wanted done to this truck is I wanted to have the PTO setting to run the engine RPMs at 1700 RPMs when the PTO was in gear. They said, all right, they made a separate work order. I asked them how they were doing on that. They filled me in on what this truck needed. That's how I got that information. I told Tracy Road Equipment when they called me back and they said, this is how much this work is going to cost. This is how much your work order is going to cost. It was like $1,500. It was a wire harness and something else, some computer work and whatever. I okayed the work. They did it. They called me back. They said, your work is done. However, it wasn't $1,500. We were able to do it for a lot less. It was like $700 and something. I said, okay. I said, have you heard anything back from Ryder? They said, no, we haven't. They're going to take this out of here, I guess. So I had gotten an email from Ryder as well. I kind of knew that ahead of time. And I said, what is the problem? It was email, conversation, going back and forth. And the service manager that I was dealing with told me that there was a discrepancy in the labor. I said, tell them that I will pay the difference in labor, whatever it is. I'll just pay the difference in labor. Not a big deal. We can leave the truck there. To be honest with you, I thought that Tracy Road Equipment seen enough of these come in and said, you know what? The clutch might not be exactly gone right now, but we're just going to replace it anyways. It's your money ahead, doing some things like that. So that's why I kind of wanted this to stay right at Tracy Road Equipment. They pulled it out of there. They did not want nothing to do with me offering to pay some money on that. So, kind of a long story long here. It ends up needing a clutch. And I told Tracy Road Equipment after the fact, hey, it did actually need a clutch. I kind of wanted to keep it at your dealership because I didn't know if it was borderline needing one. They said, look, we don't play games like that. We do not know who we're dealing with, at what capacity. We're not going to overcharge a company on their dime to benefit anybody else. So that's where we're at with this. What we need to do is go under the truck and tighten up all the bolts on the transmission. I was a little skeptical of the clutch being replaced. And before I brought it home, I took a piece of cardboard out there. I crawled in underneath the truck to see if I could tell if any of the bolts had been taken out of the bell housing. The outfit that this truck went to, I found that outfit, went to their shop. They had some of this stuff off, the exhaust. They had this pipe off of here that goes to the fuel, whatever. That clamp was broke over there. They manufactured one. So I seen enough of this off of there, but there was so much junk piled alongside the truck on each side that I couldn't crawl underneath the truck at that facility. So Tim, or maybe Jason took me out there. I can't remember who took me out there to get this truck. I crawled underneath it with a piece of cardboard, and there was one bolt at about 9 o'clock on the transmission that was just sitting in there. I said, well, I suppose these guys could have taken the bolts out and put them back in all the way around. So we need to check on that. Hopefully they didn't pull the threads out of the bell housing. That could be a problem. So we're going to go through that. You can hear this truck in the background here beeping. And Jared has got software now to work on Detroit's Caterpillars, which that's what's in this truck here. And you have Cummins yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So what we're able to do is get into various things on these. We're going to be able to speed limit, check them.
Well, this one, it was set to 120. I mean,
120 miles an hour.
yeah, the truck definitely wouldn't do that. But now,
Hey, Sarah, come here.
now it's at 60.
You got it set at 60. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where's the
one's
power set at on this one?
455 for some reason.
455? Yeah. I remember seeing the tag on this engine. It was 455.
455.
So this is a 2WS. It's the same as the 900,
Yeah, it's got.
but it doesn't have the horsepower the 900 has.
No, and it doesn't have the hours on it either.
How many hours this got on it?
21,000.
How many miles?
Surprised that was all 317,000.
Does the digital or the displays represent
I think it
that?
says 12 and I don't know what for miles.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So this truck here is a 2000. It was our first nice 10-wheeler. The only 10-wheeler we had prior to this was the John Deere truck. So,
See, right there. 317, 167, and 21,666 hours.
huh. So this will be good. I had Tracy Road Equipment do the cruise control set and whatever on this. We've got to do Alex's truck. So Jared will be able to do that. Now that we're getting this truck set up for Sarah and getting the wet line on there, we don't need this truck, do we? You'd rather be in the 900, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
You guess so? Jared's thinking that he's going to take over the other C5.
And we're going to set you to 310. 35 miles an hour.
You should.
That's
how I go.
one thing that we did have Tracy Road Equipment do to this truck is to take off the limits that the prior company had on this. So we need to get Alex's truck in here and do the same thing to that. Take the limiters off of it. This potentially could have a lot more power than Alex's truck. This truck has a DD16 in it with a 13-speed auto shift transmission. Now what we were going to do is we were going to clean up the frame on this and paint the frame, put the wet line on it, and do everything like that, but we just do not have the time. So this frame is going to sit like this. It's got a lot of spots where there's some brown on it, but that is just the nature of the beast with these trucks that come out of the Northeast. This truck here is one serial number off from Alex's truck. This is either 5550 or it's 5551, and Alex's truck is either 5550 or 5551. The company that leased this truck from Ryder, they had 6 of them that were identical to each other. I knew of 5 of them. Yeah, 5 of them. There was a sister one to this at Ryder. The one that, when I bought Alex's truck, that ended up all the way out in Illinois. That was a year ago now when we bought that. There was a sister truck that was in relatively close proximity of serial number to this one, or to hers, and there was another one down in Georgia. So that's 1, 2, the other one we own, 3 down in Georgia, 4, 5, and the other one that Ryder has. And this company that ran this truck has 1 more, or they did as of January sometime, that was still in their fleet. So we've jaw-jacked enough. We're gonna roll in underneath the transmission, and we are going to see if we can get that bolt in there and if the other ones are tight as well. All right, so we ended up crawling underneath here. We put that bolt into the transmission, tightened up the other ones. There was a couple on this right hand side that were loose, and now what we're doing is we're getting ready to pull the PTO off of it. I got the oil draining out, and the reason why we're taking the PTO off is it has a shaft driven PTO, and it's driving this pump, which we're going to get this deck off of here in a minute. It's driving this pump. It's almost like it's a fuel transfer pump. So they would hook the hose from the trailer to the pump, and then they'd be able to go off of either side of the truck here with a hose going over to a tank to fill off of the trailer. So we've got this piping to get off of here, and we'll get the pump off. As far as I know, this pump works. So let's get some of this stuff taken apart. We'll show you what this stuff looks like. We've got some bracketry to pull off of here, along with this tubing, and then we can get our deck plate cut and set into place where we're going to mount the valve body for the hydraulics. And I've got to get a PTO as well that has a direct coupling flange on it. I pulled this shift cover off to drain the oil, and they never hooked this air line back up, so they just cut it when they went to take the transmission out to put a clutch in it, and they didn't never put a union back together. So let's go ahead and get this off, and then we can start cutting some bolts here to get all this other stuff off of there. have the old PTO removed, and the reason why we're not using this PTO is because it's got a 1.25" shaft coming out of it that went back to a power shaft that ran back to the fuel pump that's on this truck. So we're going to put this PTO here on there. This has a K flange with a 7/8 13 spline female hub assembly, and then this is the pump that we're going to put on there. This has got a 7/8 13 spline shaft. This is a new pump. It's been sitting on the shelf over there, and it's a little dirty. So we have the pump unbolted. That sets right down in there. Probably gonna sell that unless it would work for fertilizer. I don't know if it would work for fertilizer or not, but it's basically just a transfer pump powered by the PTO. Fluid comes in one side and it goes out the other. So I've got to get the forklift in here, grab a chain, pick that up a little bit, set it down on the floor, then we can unbolt these brackets that are on here, get them off the frame. And then what we're going to put on this one, I have 2 tanks from Buyers Product Company sitting on that pallet over there, and we're going to put a hydraulic oil reservoir right behind the cab. Now on Alex's truck, we ended up pulling the 100-gallon fuel tank off the right-hand side of the truck. There's another one on the left-hand side. And I had to do that so that we had room in this area here to put the hydraulic oil reservoir on Alex's truck. And then I figured what I would do is eventually get a split tank. Well, those tanks were expensive. I never got around to doing it. And then we ended up buying this truck here. So I said, you know what? We're just going to put the tank up on the frame of this truck and eventually switch her truck back as well. Because 100 gallons of fuel doesn't last the whole day. So if she gets a long day, she has to stop and get fuel. So 50 gallons, an additional 50 would be more than sufficient. But if we get that other truck set up just like this one, then we won't have to buy anything. Those tanks from Buyers were a lot cheaper than what it would cost for a split tank. So we'll get the PTO on, set that pump down on the floor, get these brackets off, we'll get that stuff opened up, we'll show you what that stuff all looks like. Looks like we're gonna have to take the bracket off the frame that holds the accessory plug and air hoses and everything else. We're just gonna have to move that back a little bit. All right, I've got the PTO installed. The next thing I need to do is put the hydraulic pump onto the PTO and then get oil into it. I ended up pulling the pump out. I used the forklift to lift it up off of that bracket down there. Set it down on the floor. I got that over in the other building. We need to get rid of these rusty brackets, this one and those two up there. So this is a Black Mirror 3-inch pump. It's in working order. I don't know if this is something that we could use for fertilizer. It might only be able to be used for petroleum products, not something that's corrosive like liquid fertilizer. So we're going to look into that. If I can't use it for fertilizer, I will have it for sale. It seems to be that they're around that $2,500 to $2,700 range, new. And I would think that we'd be able to let that go relatively cheap. So what we're going to do is get our brackets removed and then put this hydraulic pump onto it.